Welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following week. My name is Colton Brown, and joining me is Andrew Meadows.
How you doing, man?
I'm good. It's been a while for our listeners. It hasn't been a while for us. We've been hard at work, as we, I think, mentioned at the end of our last episode when we talked about The Shape of Water. We were working on things, and we were going to be back in a big, bad way, and we're back.
Yeah, we got some slight logo changes and a fucking website, and we're all professional and shit, man.
Yeah, we're in the big leagues now. No, yeah, I mean, we've been busy, you know. We've been working on some stuff. We kind of folded it into our schedule to give, well, honestly, to give me a little bit of time away from editing to work on some stuff for law school, which I'm working on still at the moment. But, you know, we've also kind of spent a good amount of our time consuming a bunch of content. I've been watching a ton of movies, and we're going to be talking about a lot of movies as we kind of get into our topic this week. And I know you've been watching a good amount of stuff over there too. A lot of TV shows, I know.
Oh, yeah. I've been busy. Not doing productive things, but entertaining myself.
Yeah, well, I mean, what else are you going to do?
That's it. I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna go to work, and I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna watch shit. That's what
I mean, that's the life right there, isn't it?
It doesn't get much better than that.
And now we're going to be back on a weekly basis talking about everything you watched. So, you know, it's perfect. As you mentioned, new logo, new website. We've got a Patreon set up, which we'll talk about at the end of the episode and get you guys a little bit more details on what's going on that front. We're going to go ahead and get into it for this episode here, which is a year in review. So we're going to be talking about 2017, mostly movies, but we're also going to dip our toes into some TV shows that we watched. And, you know, it's been about a month or so, I would say, since we actually last sat down and recorded. So needless to say, there's been plenty of news that we have not covered. So in the interest of not talking about news for 2 hours, I'm going to run through a bunch of things that kind of caught our eye that's happened pretty much throughout the month of January. And we'll kind of just, you know, briefly touch on it. If you have anything to add on it, you know, say your piece, obviously, you know, but
we need to fly through it because we got a lot.
Yeah, we're gonna try to keep this thing moving at a pretty good pace so we can get into the bulk of our episode, because I think, you know, you mentioned before we started recording, I think we're gonna have a lot to talk about. So I'm gonna start with a little bit of a superhero roundup. A lot of superhero news. You know, that's feels like 90% of what we talk about, mostly because it's really kind of Disney. But starting in the world of Disney and starting in the world of Marvel, Black Panther coming out next February. I'm sorry, not next February. I mean, it is technically the next February, but it's like 2 weeks away at this point. The soundtrack for that is being curated and produced by none other than Kendrick Lamar, which is incredibly badass.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome news. It's pretty good.
Yeah, so I think there's some collaborations that we can expect for that. I think Weeknd is rumored to be on there. I know he's doing a song with Vince Staples, so I'm excited to hear what's going on with that. That sounds awesome. I wonder if that'll be integrated into the movie proper, or if this is just kind of a side thing that the director Ryan Coogler and Kendrick Lamar are kind of working on. And I have expectations that will sell very well, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. Also, in the Marvel Studios world, a Black Widow solo movie is gaining some traction. So they've hired Jack Schaeffer to write the script for a Black Widow standalone movie, with obviously Scarlett Johansson expected to reprise her role. So very early days on this. There's been no real official announcement from Marvel as far as, you know, officially greenlighting it, but the fact that they're getting a writer on board definitely suggests that this is something that they are kind of hoping to fold into their schedule. I'd say probably a few years away, and
sounds pretty
about time.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time coming. I would definitely say to have really kind of their first big female superhero to get her own movie, and obviously we're getting a female-led superhero movie in Captain Marvel, which we'll get to in a little while. But yeah, again, long overdue. Looking forward to that. Moving over into the Fox side of things, as far as the superheroes and Marvels, which I guess, to be fair, will eventually be rolled into Disney as well, assuming everything with that Disney-Fox deal goes through. Fox kind of changed their release schedule around for a lot of their movies, so most prominently Deadpool 2 or Untitled Deadpool sequel, whatever it actually ends up being called, has been pushed forward to May 18th, which is 2 weeks after Avengers and 1 week before Han Solo. So it's kind of sandwiched between two big Disney releases. Ooh. And that Han Solo thing, which, for the record, we still have not seen a trailer for or any sort of real art other than what we got from that leaked Russian calendar.
Do you think it's kind of telling of the quality of the movie that it's going to be?
I'm baffled by the marketing strategy. At this point, I'm still half expecting them to delay it to like August, September. I don't know if you can really push it to December at this point. I think that this December is kind of getting probably pretty stacked as it is.
Right.
So I don't know that there's room in the schedule for it there, but I don't know. It definitely seems like they're sending it out to die, which to me does not speak well of its quality. But we will wait to see on that, given that we really just don't have anything to work off of other than that picture, which, as I talked about, I think during that episode, there's nothing really to go off of for quality of that. I mean, it doesn't exactly inspire confidence, but it's such a nothing thing that I'm like, whatever, we'll wait and see on it. So Deadpool moving forward to May. Cool. New Mutants pushed back 10 months. Ooh. So it has moved from April of this year to February of 2019, which is a pretty big, I mean, that's almost a year delay, which seems insane to me. I don't know if we should expect reshoots on it. To me that suggests that they're not happy with it. The Hollywood Reporter article here says that they're trying to avoid overlap with their X-Men movies, but 10 months, that's seems really significant. So we'll see what happens with that. And then lastly, Gambit has been moved from February 2019 to June of 2019. So that's only a few month delay, but more importantly, the last attached director to it, Gore Verbinski, has departed the project. So it is now directorless for like the 20th time. Although Channing Tatum still attached. I mean, listen, stop trying to make Gambit happen. It's just not going to happen, guys. I mean, by the time this thing is even going to be able to be in production, like, Disney's going to shut that shit down. You know?
Yeah, it's going to be...
So
yeah.
I don't think this movie's ever going to happen, personally, and I'm okay with that.
Nah, he doesn't need his own thing.
Yeah, so that's it for the Fox news. Back in the Marvel Studios world, we got another look at the costumes for Ant-Man and the Wasp, and the appropriately titled Ant-Man and the Wasp.
And they look good.
They look good. They look stylish. It looks like the Ant-Man outfit's pretty similar to what his Civil War outfit was. A little bit, he's got the red kind of stripes across the eyes again, and looks good. Wasp, I know a lot of people online have kind of been clamoring for that to get a brighter shade of yellow, which I think would look fine, but I'm okay with how it looks now. I'm excited to see the Wasp in action. I think that'll be pretty awesome. So, yeah, looking forward to that. Looks good. What else we got here? Okay, the writers of Spider-Man Homecoming, John Francis Daly, Jonathan Goldstein, are currently in negotiations to direct the Flashpoint movie, which is the standalone Flash movie with Ezra Miller currently attached. I think it was rumored at one point that Gal Gadot was supposed to appear in it as well. I don't know if that was ever officially confirmed, but we'll see what happens with this movie. To me, doing a Flashpoint movie right off the bat seems odd, but maybe as a soft reboot for the universe.
Yeah, I mean, I think they need a reason to start over.
I think it's odd because I feel like they've announced it as being a Flashpoint movie for like a year now. So, this is kind of pre-Justice League and Suicide Squad type disaster, kind of where the point where, I don't know. I mean, like I said, it could work. It could, kind of, steer things in the right direction. Who's to say?
Who's producing this movie, do we know? Is it produced by Zack Snyder? Because then we would have an indication of their intentions.
I don't think so. I think Snyder's pretty much out. But basically, these guys They also wrote Vacation, the new one, not the old one, and there's a movie called Game Night with Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams that comes out later this year that they co-wrote. So comedic background, so I'm expecting that those sensibilities will probably translate to this project. So it sounds like they're trying to keep more of a lighthearted approach for Flash, which could definitely work. I mean, the TV show's pretty lighthearted, but Flashpoint isn't really a lighthearted thing. I mean, I don't know. We got a version of Flashpoint on the TV show that was barely even Flashpoint. So my hope is that if they are going to go through with a Flashpoint movie, you got to do it right. Like, you got to really commit to it. And I just think that it's too early in the process to do it. But Spider-Man Homecoming, I was really happy with. So I would say that based on that, they have the chops to really kind of make this work. But
let's see
based on everything else that DC has put out, I think that DC will probably fuck it somehow. If I had to guess.
That's probably accurate.
So, yeah. All right, so keeping this moving, we got a new trailer for Pacific Rim Uprising.
How'd you feel about that?
I'm on board for this, man. I think this looks like fun.
I laughed my ass off through the whole trailer. I thought it looked so cool.
I think this looks like a lot of fun. I don't know that it's going to be good, quote unquote good, but I'm fucking really in the bag for this. I think when we talked about it last, we described it as a very anime type feel, and I think that that's still very evident in the recent trailer that we got. That trailer 2 that just dropped. But I'm fucking excited to see some Mako Mori action. It looks like fun. John Boyega. I like John Boyega. I don't like Scott Eastwood. Scott Eastwood sucks. I wish he wasn't in it. Hopefully he'll die early on. That would be great. Charlie Day, fucking excellent. So, yeah.
You got robots fighting robots, man.
Robots fighting robots, robots fighting monsters.
It doesn't get...
What more could you ask for?
Exactly.
I'm expecting this to be dumb, stupid fun, but hopefully not, bad.
If it's bad, I would ask that it would be so bad.
I just want it to be tonally in line with the first one, and I think that we're going to get that. I just, the first one was a spectacle piece. It wasn't a deep movie. It wasn't a particularly well-written movie, but it was a ton of fun, and you could really feel the heart into it. Del Toro's not directing this one, but he's producing it. Steven Estonite's directing this. I think he's got the chops. He worked on Spartacus, which turned out really well. Daredevil season 1 turned out really well. So, it could work. I don't see why it can't work. Other than Scott Eastwood being involved, I think that's still a big blight on it. But
we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Back in the world of Marvel and Disney, we got some on-set photos of Brie Larson as Captain Marvel, which has officially started filming. So there's a bit of a hoopla on the internet about this because her suit is very green. And her traditional comic book outfit
blue,
is
right?
not very green. It's a red and blue and yellow kind of mix, and she's got a sash. And we saw concept art of kind of what I think they were trying to aim for with the Captain Marvel outfit, which had the traditional colors. So given that this is just an on-set picture, my expectations, and I think the general consensus of most people in the know, is that this is an early version of her outfit. In the comics, the traditional Kree military outfits are very green-colored, and her power set originates from Mar-Vell, who is a Kree. Is basically how there's like a transfusion, which is how she traditionally acquires her powers. Obviously, they can do whatever they want as far as the adaptation for the movie in terms of how her powers get acquired. But my guess, looking at this is kind of your USO Captain America outfit, or your Mark I Iron Man type situation, where this is not what it's going to look like as the final outfit in the third act. This is probably a first, second act kind of outfit until she puts her own little personal quirks and touches on it. So other than that, I think it looks good. Brie Larson's a great actress. Room is fucking incredible.
That is a good movie.
She's fucking incredible in it. She's rocking some Rachel from Friends hair here, some 90s hair, which I'm digging. Yeah, this is good. I'm excited about this. I think the costume design looks good itself. The coloration I'm not worried about. And if you are worried about it, go to the Marvel Studios subreddit. The whole front page is literally everyone doing their own fan edit of it, so you can figure out what it will probably look like in the end. Moving on. We got some cruise missile action. I'm fucking digging this cruise missile action. Mission Impossible 6 finally got a official title. It's now called Mission Impossible Fallout. We got a look at the cruise missile hanging off the side of a helicopter.
That motherfucker's crazy, dude. Hanging off the side of a helicopter.
What a fucking legend. I love the cruise. I love his commitment. And I don't know if you saw this. Hey man, he committed to the Mummy. Respect for committing to the Mummy. Say what you will about the final products, but he committed to that role. He commits to every role. Look, fucking Tropic Thunder. He committed to that shit.
Oh, it was awesome. It was good.
So, there was a little segment, a video clip of Cruise. He was on the Graham Norton show in the UK with, I believe, Simon Pegg and Rebecca Ferguson and Henry Cavill, who I think is playing the villain in it. Basically, he actually showed the footage of the stunt that he was doing when he broke his foot. A few months back, they shut down the production. I think we talked about it on one of our earlier episodes.
Yeah, where he's jumping from building to building.
Yeah, so basically what happened was he jumped from one building to the next, and the stunt itself is actually him slamming into the side of the building and struggling to get up. But basically, as he was coming towards the second building, he basically caught the whole building with his foot.
Ooh.
But he's committed because he completes the stunt. Which is my favorite part about it, is that he completes his climb and he actually runs past the camera that's kind of, a few feet up on the building. So with a broken ankle, he actually still ran past the camera.
He's crazy.
Because he's fucking Tom Cruise, and that's what he does. He's got the power of Xenu carrying him through.
Unlimited power.
Yeah, exactly. There was a couple promo images that came out with the Mission Impossible title announcement. A lot of the cast from the old movies are back. Simon Pegg back, Rebecca Ferguson back from Rogue Nation, Ving Rhames back, Henry Cavill joining the cast, sporting a glorious mustache, which we talked about a little bit on our Justice League episode. He rocks that mustache, and I'm hoping this movie turns out excellent, just so that it can just be another notch in the belt of, we fucking ruined Justice League, and we made a good movie with this mustache, you bitches. You got anything else to add on Mission Impossible?
No, that's
you looking forward to it?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I those last two Mission Impossibles were really fucking great. Actually, I guess the last three, right? Yeah, because 2 is garbage. That's not a hot take. It's bad. 3 is really good. That was the JJ one.
2's probably my favorite, though.
No, 2's garbage.
That's the one with the motorcycle fight, right?
Yeah.
What the fuck's wrong with you? You don't like motorcycle fights?
You get out of here. You're done. Fucking
mask
let me
on,
pull
mask
my
on,
mask
mask.
off after I pull my mask. After I pull my mask off of the mask that I was wearing, which was of a mask. Garbage. No. 4 Ghost Protocol, Brad Bird was great, and then Rogue Nation, the 5th one, was Chris McQuarrie, who's coming back for this one. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I really like the Mission Impossible franchise, with the exception of that one movie that I have just talked about. All right, so I think by the time we probably record our next episode, the Super Bowl will have happened. Hopefully the Eagles will smash the Patriots out of existence. I'm not entirely confident in that happening. I know you are very invested into the NFL and all sports.
Absolutely. Who's playing again?
Patriots and Eagles.
Oh, okay.
The Jaguars, my Jaguars almost made it. They were this close.
That didn't fucking happen, dude.
It didn't happen. No, they fucked themselves. So, But more importantly, for some, probably for our interest, at least as far as this podcast is concerned, is that there's always the usual TV spots, big trailers and stuff that get run during the Super Bowl, obviously along with the commercials and stuff. But Deadline has kind of compiled a list of what we can kind of expect as far as what trailers we're looking at. So I'd say the most interesting one is that the Cloverfield sequel, God Particle, is finally going to get its first bit of marketing.
Good deal.
Now, Paramount is currently set to distribute this in April. It was actually supposed to be a February release, and then it got bumped to April. Now, the word on the street is that Netflix has acquired this movie and is going to distribute it sooner than that. So I think that we'll get probably good word on that during the Super Bowl, because it'll probably have Netflix branded all over it. So I don't know if they'll keep the theatrical release or if they'll just bring it straight
Netflix
to the streaming
exclusive.
service right away.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll see what kind of happens with that. But interestingly enough, like Annihilation, Netflix acquired the rights to that, but I think that they're only putting it on the streaming service internationally, and it's still getting its theatrical release in America. So I don't know if they'll follow a similar strategy here. So we'll see on that. I'm excited to see what this turns out to be, because we've had radio silence on this shit for something that was, up until earlier this month, was supposed to be like a month away.
Right.
You know, they were giving it the Han Solo treatment, if you will. So that'll be cool. Looking forward to that. We're going to get Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom from Universal. Hopefully the TV spot is better than the trailer that we got a while back. The Dwayne Johnson action pick Skyscraper. Don't care. But it will be getting a spot reportedly. Mission Impossible Fallout, we just mentioned, is going to get a 30-second spot from Paramount.
Excellent.
Along with A Quiet Place with John Krasinski and Emily Blunt. And then on the Disney and Marvel side of the house, Black Panther is going to get one. I think that's actually online already. You can kind of see what it is. They're doing a cross-promotion with Lexus. I don't know if they'll have an actual dedicated movie spot or not, or if it's just going to be combined with that marketing campaign they're running with them. But also in the Disney side, they're going to be running a 30-second spot and a 45-second spot. So again, Black Panther is probably going to be one of those. If I were to guess, Avengers is probably a good guess for one of those.
Solo?
And Solo, again, you got to get the marketing machine started on that sooner or later. So
That'd be a good place to start it, I suppose.
could very well see a 45-second little spot for Solo or a 30-second spot. And my anticipation would be that if you put that there, then you'd probably put the full trailer with Black Panther. I think regardless, you've got to get a full trailer out there with Black Panther, but we'll see if they kind of capitalize on the Super Bowl.
Speaking of Black Panther, I cannot fucking wait for Black Panther, dude. Black Panther's gonna be so good.
We're gonna talk about it in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about it in a couple of weeks, man. Yeah, it looks great. I'm pumped about that. Yeah, that's really kind of it as far as the Super Bowl spots. Oh, I'm sorry. A Wrinkle in Time, Incredibles 2 also candidates to get spots. And then WB and Fox are sitting out the game. So that's really kind of it. So I'm really, for me, the big question mark is Solo. I wonder, I said, I got to see something. You got to see something.
No, yeah, I would. It would have. Yes, one of them has to be Solo.
All right, so moving over to the TV side again. I think I've kind of fallen by the wayside of trying to keep the pace here.
Got to keep it up on television though. Beep bop 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 bop.
I'm going to try to keep it moving again. All right, so this is just kind of going back to the beginning of January and kind of working our way to the present day. Kiernan Shipka is going to be Sabrina in Netflix's Sabrina the Teenage Witch adaptation, which we talked about possibly the last episode we did. I'm not sure which one exactly it was. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she was Sally Draper on Mad Men, and she's fucking great on that show. So that's Don Draper's kid. So she was like, I don't know how old she was. She was a little kid basically when she started on that show, and they struck gold with her because Mad Men ran long enough to actually kind of see her grow up and kind of grow into like a teenager, and they kind of dealt with teenage plot lines and stuff like that. And she fucking was great and all that. So. Great casting. I'm really on board with this. I love me some Riverdale. It's my schlocky garbage that I really like. So I definitely am excited for this Sabrina project, and I will be watching it. Game of Thrones. HBO has confirmed it will officially return in, drumroll, 2019.
Boom.
Yeah, I think we kind of knew this was happening. Maisie Williams, Arya Stark herself, very recently also specified that it will be airing in April. She says that they wrap the filming of everything in December, and then it's about a 4-month turnaround for everything to kind of go up into the edit room, get everything prepped, all the effects, everything done, and then April we should see the last, I guess it will be 6 episodes of Game of Thrones. Until we get the million spinoffs that they're probably going to work on. So, sucks. I mean, whole year without Game of Thrones, but book fans know the struggle. So
Oh no, for real, man. It's been
maybe we'll get Winds of Winter to fill the gap.
no, not likely.
Crack myself up. I think my favorite website, I don't know if it's still a website right now, it was isthewindsofwinterout.com. And it's just literally a block that says no, period.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to write books, man.
He's got shit to do, man. Like anything but write books. Okay. This is a fucking cool announcement.
It's still a website.
Did you just check
Yeah.
it?
Says, is windsofwinterout.com? No. Period. Confused? Read, George R.R. Martin is not your bitch. Come back in October 2018.
Oh, man, that is fucking excellent. God. Incredible.
Hilarious.
I'm sorry. Okay. So, like I said, this is, I'm actually really enjoying this news. So, just to preface this, Chad Stahelski, who did,
I don't mean to go back on a thing. Okay.
What are you laughing at now?
So they have a link here on their website to say it says, read George R.R. Martin is not your bitch, and it brings you over to Neil Gaiman's journal. And there's a section in here where a writer writes in there that he thinks George R.R. Martin's letting him down, and Neil Gaiman says people are not, or it says Neil Gaiman says George R.R. Martin is not your bitch. People are not machines. That's what he says. It's fucking funny. I'm sorry. You can cut that out if you want.
No, it's staying in. That's good. That's quality content right there. I love it. Okay, let me get this back on track. John Wick. Okay, this news is about John Wick. So, just to preface this, John Wick Chapter 3 is in the works. That's a movie that's happening. Chad Stahelski co-directed the first one, and then directed the second one solo, coming back for the third one. More importantly, TV side of the house, a show called The Continental has been greenlit on Starz, which will be set in the John Wick universe, focusing on the inner working of the exclusive Continental Hotel, which serves as a refuge for assassins. And additionally, Keanu Reeves will make guest appearances in the series as John Wick
That's fucking
himself.
cool. That is badass.
That's badass. So, whenever this drops, I think I'm gonna have to subscribe to Starz. It's kind of my thought on that. Which, I don't know if they have their own standalone, or if you have to do it as part of the cable package. I'll figure it out when this comes
no, you
out.
can
It's probably a
get
good ways
Starz
away.
from,
But
on Amazon.
Amazon. Yeah,
Right.
you're right. That's right. So that'll probably be the way to do it. Like I said, really cool. I'm excited about that. I like the John Wick movies a lot, and I think that is good, ripe content for a TV show. So doesn't feel like it's capitalizing on anything. I think that's a good way to expand the universe. I think that's a fucking cool thing to explore.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I got a piece of news for you.
What's your piece of news?
My piece of news is the Castlevania anime on Netflix is going to come up with 8 episodes this summer.
Yeah, Warren Ellis announced that on Twitter that it'll be coming back. So there's 4 episodes that are already on Netflix, and they're like 20 minutes each.
Yeah,
so
it's
it's basically
short.
kind of like a movie. It definitely felt very much like half a season, if that. It was really fun. I enjoyed that first season, if you want to call it a season, I guess. So I'm excited to see 8 new episodes. I think that I think the way that they said it with the first season, they set the table for something interesting, and then it was just like, yeah, we're done.
Yeah, it was almost like a pilot almost. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. It almost felt like in like a 90-minute pilot that had kind of been cut into 4 pieces in some ways. So yeah, that'll be fucking badass. I'm excited about that.
Really well made shit, man. It was really good.
Yeah.
Either way, that's all I got for TV news. That's all I got excited about.
I got something that I'm a little bit probably more excited about than you are. Keiynan Lonsdale has joined the cast of DC's Legends of Tomorrow over on the CW. So he is Kid Flash on the Flash currently, and I say currently, but that's not really accurate. Basically, they don't know how to write a second speedster in there, so they just basically wrote him off the show to be like, yeah, I'm just going to go fuck off to another city and not be in this show anymore.
Is that what they did with him?
Yeah, so he well, because... Well, I guess mild spoilers for Season 3 and Season 4 of Flash. End of Season 3, Barry gets trapped in the Speed Force, so Kid Flash takes his place, but Barry is immediately the Flash like 20 minutes into the first episode of Season 4. So that and then he kind of just fucks off into the corner and does nothing. So this is awesome because hopefully they can actually give Wally West something to do here. It seems very clear that they just didn't know what to do with this character after they initially introduced him, and Firestorm is no longer part of the Legends team. So I think that having a super OP speedster is a good replacement for a nuclear-powered man.
Oh, I've missed out on a lot.
That's cool. I'm excited about that. I think it's a good fit. I'm glad that they have something to do with the character. And he'll be starting in episode 13 of Legends this season. So, last bit of TV news, and this is something that neither of us are going to have too much input on, but Big Little Lies, which was technically originally a mini-series on HBO based on a book of the same name, got renewed for a season 2. Which is interesting. I don't know if they adapted all the books or if they're doing original content or how this is working, but basically it's kind of fucked in the sense that, you know, for like the Emmys and stuff, everything was nominated for like best blah, blah, blah in a limited series or best limited series, and then it's coming back as a season 2. It's kind of just like, so it wasn't a limited series? So it kind of, that seems crazy to me as far as award nominations go and stuff like that, but this was a very popular pick for one of the best TV shows of 2017, and it's not one that either of us watched. The kind of recognition that it's got has it certainly on my list of things that I would like to watch, but haven't watched it. Don't know when I will get a chance to do so, but Meryl Streep joining the cast, it's fucking Meryl Streep. I mean, that's a pretty big get. And it's got a really good cast to begin with. Nicole Kidman, Reese Witherspoon, what's her name? Shailene Woodley. That's her name. So cool. Like I said, it's kind of a pretty big deal for that, and I kind of included it here because I figure it's a good transition point. This, like I said, this was something that was touted as one of the best shows of 2017. And that brings us kind of to what we're really going to be talking about for the bulk of this episode here, which is the best of 2017. We're going to be doing a year in review of both TV shows very briefly, and then more extensively we're going to be talking about films. So we're kind of just going to pretty much work our way forward, kind of category by category. We're going to go, taking turns and kind of just seeing where the conversation takes us.
Hashing this shit out. It's going to be a lot of discussion.
Yeah, and I think that's the fun thing about this. I think this is probably really going to be the first kind of real episode I think we've had where we don't have one central topic, or I guess couple central topics, movies and stuff. So we're going to be talking about a ton of movies. We're going to be talking about probably a few TV shows. There's just a lot that we're going to be talking about. And I did want to just have a disclaimer here that I will try to do my best to, keep it to mild spoilers for everything, but I make no promises.
Listen, this shit is a year old. We should be able to have free discussion.
Well, not all of it. I mean, some of the stuff is stuff that came out, a month ago.
Yeah. Totally
so,
like
I said, I'm going to try to do my best to kind of just keep spoiler talk to a relative minimum. But like I said, I'm going to talk openly and freely about every movie that is part of the discussion. So you've been warned. And also, just for the record, and this goes for Andrew and myself, we haven't seen everything. We've seen as many things as we can. I've certainly seen, I think, probably more movies than I've seen probably TV shows. They're a lot more digestible, obviously, but, this is going to be our opinions. So you're welcome to agree with us. You're welcome to disagree with us. This is just our takes, and there's things that we wanted to get to that we didn't get around to seeing. It's just kind of the way it goes. So this is working with what we can work with. This is what we've seen, what we know. So so we're gonna pretty much get right into it, and we're gonna start with television and the gimme category of the worst television show that we've seen in 2017. Are we going to say it at the same time?
Yeah.
All right. Well, say this might be difficult because we're actually there's a very slight delay because we're recording remotely, but we're going to fucking try it. All right. And if we fuck it up, that's totally fine because it's still going to be the same thing. All right. You ready? I'm going to do a countdown from 3. 3, 2, 1. Marvels and Humans. Oh, I said Marvels and Humans. I fucked it up. Yes, it's Inhumans. Boy, howdy, this was a absolute piece of shit. I mean, I guess to be fair, we only watched the first 2 episodes of it.
Yeah, disclaimer.
It was enough.
We had a 2-episode introduction, and it definitely won the nomination.
If you want to know why it's terrible, go listen to our episode. Because I don't think we need to elaborate any further. Other than to say that basically it's been taken out to the pasture and shot in the head by Disney and I guess ABC very quietly. They used a silencer on the pistol. It's bad. It's real bad. So that's our worst. And now we're going to get into our kind of personal top 3 favorites. I don't want to say best, I guess, because there's just so many shows, again, that I haven't seen, I know, that would probably crack the top 3. And at some point, I will probably get around to all that stuff that I want to watch. Just hasn't happened yet. So we're going to kind of do this in reverse order, starting from 3. And we're going to kind of just take our turns and kind of see where the conversation takes us, kind of explain our rationale for why it's 3, maybe any other shows that might have been a consideration, kind of how you went about categorizing and stuff like that. So let's start with number 3. What did you have?
For number 3, my pick is Black Mirror.
Black Mirror. So season 4.
Season 4 of Black Mirror, yeah.
Okay, so I haven't seen Black Mirror season 4. I've seen a couple seasons prior to that. So number 3, why?
Number 3, I really wanted to have it on my list because because of season 4, I watched the entire series up until the end of the season, and it made a significant impression with me. And season 4 was really good. It had some creative entries into the series, and I really, really enjoy the very loose connection in between all the previous seasons and everything, like the loose kind of universe that they've set for themselves. Mm-hmm. And I thoroughly enjoy just the content matter, just the kind of ideas and everything that they cover. And I like the non-serialized episodes that they put out. They're all like short films essentially, and they're all rooted within the same universe, and that's what I've come to find out, just in watching the last season. I didn't really realize it until the last season, but it's just it's a fucking awesome show. It's my number 3, and it's not higher, and this is gonna reflect poorly on myself, but because I pretty much watched an episode a night, everything kind of blended together.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I think that's kind of the downside of kind of binging a show like that, is that, a lot of those kind of deserve to be kind of digested almost kind of on a, weekly kind of manner or something like that, just to give yourself some time to really kind of absorb and process it. So I haven't seen season 4, but, the way I watched Black Mirror the first couple seasons is I would watch an episode here and there, and the beauty of it, being standalone, the anthology type style, is that I didn't feel like I ever missed anything because they're disconnected, like you said. So yeah, that's a good call for number 3. I've heard good things about season 4. It's definitely something that I would love to watch, and I will watch at some point. It's definitely something I'll get around to, but I should probably watch season 3 before I get to... I guess it doesn't matter. I could watch season 4 or watch season 3. It doesn't really matter, right?
That's right.
Yeah, good call. My number 3, The Expanse, season 2.
Ooh. Ooh, good pick.
So this was early 2017, and I was struggling to come up with number 3, honestly. There was quite a few that were vying for attention at number 3, and I had a hard time really kind of narrowing it down until I saw that The Expanse came out in 2017, and I fucking adore that show. It's on Sci-Fi, which I understand is probably a turnoff for a lot of people, but they've put some serious dough behind this and some serious talent. I think both in front of and behind the camera. Stephen Strait, Tom Jane, really the whole principal cast is fantastic. And it's based off of a series of books by Ty Frank and Daniel Abraham, who write under the pen name James S.A. Corey. So the series is called The Expanse. The first season was based off the first book, well, most of the first book, Leviathan Wakes, and then the second season finished up the Leviathan Wakes storyline and then covered the first probably 2/3 or so of the second book, Caliban's War. And it's basically Game of Thrones in space in the future.
Yeah.
And that's probably the best way to kind of summarize it. And it's great. It's early Game of Thrones. It's not, it's the politics. It's the space politics.
Done it in the first season and stuff.
Yeah. And it's just a fucking really cool setting. I love the way that they've kind of visualized the future, the cultures and stuff that they've really kind of chosen to examine. It's all brilliant. It's just brilliant work across the board. And like I said, the sci-fi gets a bad rap for good reason. But this is I would say the one exception to be like, yeah, like this is something you need to watch. And I don't know if it's, I think the first season's on Amazon. The second season might be up there shortly because I think season 3 is probably coming back within the next month or two.
Excellent.
Hopefully. I don't know if there's an exact date for that, so I could be wrong on that, but it's excellent. Highly recommend it. All right, number 2.
Number 2 goes to Legion.
Legion. Ooh.
We were going over everything, and I have. My mind is not the best. Sometimes I talk and I don't make sense, and sometimes I watch shit and I just kind of I don't forget many shows, but I forget when I consume them. So
sure.
For Legion, I totally forget. And this year's been, or last year was totally hectic. But I thought Legion was older than what it was. So when you told me that Legion was this year or last year, I was like, fuck yeah, that's one of my shows. This show is yes, it's a superhero show, I guess. Okay, but it's so outside of that. It's so artistically made, and it's so meticulously made as well. It's an incredible show, down to the set design, down to the cinematography, down to the writing. It's amazing show. If you have an opportunity to watch it, even if you don't like superhero shit, the style of the show is incredible. I think it made a huge impression with me. Watch it. That's my number 2 pick.
Good call. Number 2 for me, American Vandal on Netflix.
That was a good one. That was pretty good.
To me, it transcends kind of the parody that it was trying to be, and actually kind of cut into something a lot deeper in terms of kind of the emotional resonance really behind a lot of the characters, their relationships, and kind of the setting that it really chose to explore. And I will say, and I'll kind of get onto this a little bit more, I think, after when we get into our number 1s. I chose my shows. My biggest qualification is that I chose them on their overall quality and if they were able to sustain that quality throughout the entire season. Because there's a lot of shows that I watched that I thought were fantastic, but they had ebbs and flows. They had good parts. They had parts that I didn't like as much. Not that they were necessarily bad. Maybe they were.
Right.
So for me, American Vandal was great from beginning to end. Has some of the funniest things I've ever watched on TV.
It's pretty great. It was a very well made show.
It's definitely, I would say, the funniest thing I watched in 2017 on TV. And everyone's great in it. It's a lot of actors I don't know. A lot of people I'm not familiar with, but they all crushed it. And for that, it's my number 2 because I said beginning to end. It's very tightly written, and it's just perfectly performed, perfectly executed, and it's a wonderful, send up of kind of that style, that mockumentary style that I think they nailed that and really kind of did something more with it than just kind of what it probably on the surface probably seemed. So that's it for me. All right, the big number one. I'm curious to see what you got for number one.
My number one is Handmaid's Tale.
Okay, all right. I haven't seen this one because this one's obviously gotten a lot of acclaim, and it's still one I haven't seen. So I know you talked about it, I think in one of our catching up sections on one of our older episodes, but I'll let you kind of get into why it's your number one.
It's a very fleshed out universe. It's one thing with me, and this is gonna reflect in all my picks throughout the entire podcast tonight. If something leaves me feeling a certain way, like it made an emotional impact, it sticks with me, and for something to leave an emotional impact with me, it has to be made in a way to transcend the screen. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So Handmaid's Tale consistently did that. It deals with a lot of hard shit, and it does so it just does so very well. It's a very fleshed out universe. It's well acted. It's well written, and several of the episodes are just kind of hard to watch, and they're just hard to digest, and it's hard content matter, and it does it in a very, very good way. And for that, it's my number one. It's definitely heavier than. Not to say that Black Mirror's not heavy. Legion's certainly not heavy. But Black Mirror can get heavy at points. But Handmaid's Tale it's just a superb show. So if you have Hulu, if you have an opportunity to watch that is a must watch. And I'm disappointed that you have not seen that one yet because it is so good.
Well, I think I know why it's so good. It's because Elizabeth Moss has the power of Xenu.
Does she have the power of Xenu as well?
She's got the power of Xenu.
God damn.
Yeah. Fucking Hollywood, man. Good news on that front. Season 2 coming out later this year. Just FYI. So I will try to catch up before Season 2 airs. How's that? Does that seem like a good idea?
That seems fair. But you said the same thing about Rebels.
Yes, I did. I'm working on it. Okay, I'm working on it. I'll be done with it in time for the next celebration when they announce the next Star Wars animated show. All right, my number one is Legion.
Your number one's Legion?
My number one is Legion. I thought I was thinking about saying something when you were talking about it to kind of say that I agreed with everything you said. And obviously I felt just ever so slightly more stronger about it.
To be fair, you haven't seen Handmaid's Tale either.
I haven't. This is also true, but Legion for me is fucking incredible. So it is everything that you said, and just to kind of, I guess, expand as far as kind of why I put it as my number one is I like superheroes. Okay, I like the genre. I love the genre. I love comic books. This, to me, takes everything that works about, that I like about it, superpowers and stuff like that, and it transplants it into a fucking incredibly well-written, incredibly well-acted show that goes far beyond, really, what we usually see in the genre.
Wholeheartedly agree with that.
And it takes it in such interesting places, and, like, Aubrey Plaza, holy shit, she's great in this show. Jermaine Clement,
fucking
Flight of
Jermaine
Conchords,
is fucking the bomb, dude.
Fucking, makes his appearance in there, and he's incredible. And Dan Stevens as David Haller, Legion himself. What an amazing performance. And what I loved about this show is that every episode felt fresh. Every episode felt like they took it to a very different place. Even the styles that they explored within different episodes.
For sure.
It never, sometimes like week to week, it wouldn't even feel like the same show. And that's what I enjoyed about it, is that it kind of just played with a bunch of different interesting concepts, and it did all of them extremely well. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., is probably the second best like superhero show, I would say, on television.
Oh, but it's totally different metric.
But you know what you're getting week to week. It's really well executed for what it is, but Legion to me is just the next step of, this is fucking completely out there. This is completely insane. And I love it. And I don't know what's coming next, but I want to know what's coming next. Like, I cannot wait to find out what's coming out in season 2. Like, I'm so glad that it's getting a season 2. So for me, it just absolutely blew me away. In really every sense of the word.
It's not the first time that you've had a good experience with an FX show, right?
Justified. Fucking love Justified.
I haven't seen that before.
I will... Justified is probably in my personal top 5 television shows, but I will also say it has the best dialogue ever written on television.
Wow.
And I feel confident in saying that, because I could listen to Raylan Givens and Boyd Crowder wax philosophical for the rest of my entire life and be content. Portrayed brilliantly by Timothy Olyphant, who I adore, and then Walton Goggins, who fucking love him every time I see him in anything that he pops up in. He's absolutely brilliant. So that's it for TV shows. I guess before we kind of move on to film, which is really going to be a lot. We did 2 categories for TV shows. Except there's just so many TV shows that we haven't had a chance to watch, and it's hard to really kind of, I think, really put together a very exhaustive list of best actor, best actress, and things like that. I think we can do that for film much more readily than we can for TV shows. But some other TV shows, I'll just drop some mentions of that I really enjoyed: Mindhunter, Glow, Punisher, Game of Thrones, and iZombie. All good shows that were really in contention for my 2 and 3 spots. But again, it comes back to, did they have weaknesses in them that I felt held them back? And the answer for most of those shows is yes. So I won't really expound on that too much, other than sometimes it's pacing, sometimes it's just characters that didn't work for me. Game of Thrones had one of the dumbest plot things where they had to go capture the white. So that whole setup was fucking stupid.
Right.
It was enjoyable, but it was fucking stupid. So that's those are the kind of the only ones that I wanted to kind of just shout a little mention of, that, and some of those we've talked about in the past: Mindhunter, Punisher. We have dedicated episodes to those, so certainly check those out. And yeah. Anything else you wanted to talk about for TV shows? You ready to move on?
No, I agree with you on Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is an incredible television series, but
as a body of work, I mean, I think
Right.
it's certainly one of the best TV shows of all time. But I would say specifically this past season, again, it would probably make my top 5.
No, that's fair.
But 3, yeah.
Right. And American Vandal was one of my runner-ups. I had a hard time. I ultimately went to Black Mirror, just because it's kind of in my wheelhouse, and I thoroughly enjoyed the season. I kind of consumed it all at once. But yeah, no, it's been a good year for television, to say the least. It's been a good year for movies too. We're going to get into that.
Yeah, and I guess I didn't really mention this, but just an FYI for our listeners. We came together and we kind of put we organized all these categories, and then we went our separate ways to pick what we thought was the correct response. There are our personal opinions for all these. So I'm actually just as interested to hear Andrew's answers as probably anyone is that listening is
Right,
to kind of hear everything, because
we're all in the dark.
Exactly. So because I don't know what you're picking. I don't know what your top TV shows are. I don't know what your top films are. I don't know what your picks are for any of this. So I'm really curious to see where we agree, where we disagree. So hearing you having Legion as number 2 was fucking cool. Like, okay. Like, yeah, we both fucking really dug Legion. Of course, you had 2 shows on your top 3 that I haven't had a chance to watch yet, so, that makes it difficult. But, yeah. So, anyway, moving forward into film, we're going to start with the worst film of the year.
What was your worst film?
I had 3 contenders for this personally.
Son, you've seen some shit movies.
3 contenders. And my first contender was Alien Covenant.
Oh, yeah, I heard that was shit.
My second was The Mummy. And my third, which I actually eventually settled as my pick, is The Dark Tower.
Ooh, Dark Tower is worse than those other 2 movies?
I think so. And I'll expound on that. Alien Covenant is a competently made movie. with just the dumbest characters and some of the most ridiculous plot developments I've seen. The Mummy is just is an awkward mishmash of genres that didn't need to be together. But again, Tom Cruise, they say Tom Cruise doing Tom Cruise work. I enjoyed that. Russell Crowe being absolutely ridiculous. I enjoyed that to some respect. The Dark Tower for me has very little redeeming qualities. It's like 90 minutes long of a story that probably needed to be twice that to be really kind of accurately depicted. And it just completely wastes all the talents within it. Idris Elba, fantastic actor. All he does is talk about the sins of his fathers or some shit like that. It's bad. It's real bad. He does nothing to elevate the source material, and he's given nothing to work with. I don't fault him. Matthew McConaughey is terrible in it, and he's a great actor. So the fact that it squanders two incredibly powerful, talented actors puts them with a really poorly told, really poorly executed, really poorly edited story that's just kind of general Mandarin kind of piece of shit that doesn't really seem to build anything particularly like the Dark Tower, the actual Dark Tower in it. I still don't know what it is. I don't know what's about. I don't know anything about this fucking movie other than it's stupid and it sucks. And it's also the first episode we ever recorded about alongside Atomic Blonde. And I actually, having decided that it's the worst movie for those reasons, I actually kind of want to go back and listen to see if I was as negative on it. I don't know if I want. I think I might have held back a little bit. I was like, I don't want to be a negative Nancy on our first episode, but it's fucking garbage. It is the worst movie of 2017 for me.
Well, I would agree with you that it's my worst movie of 2017 as well. And I'll be honest with you, I was hoping that those other two movies that you mentioned were more shit than The Dark Tower. Because I was like, oh God, thank God I dodged those movies. But apparently I caught the worst one as well, so I don't know.
To be fair, you could also actually blame me for this because I think we considered at one point just doing Atomic Blonde. I said, let's just go see Dark Tower. And I think we both spent money on the Dark Tower because this is a pre-Movie Pass era.
Yeah, so I have you to blame for Inhumans, and I have you to blame for Dark Tower.
It's for the podcast, all right? It's for the podcast.
You son of a bitch.
All right, I mean, yeah. Do you have anything to add for the Dark Tower?
No, you a Mandarin piece of shit. I think that sums it up.
It's bad.
I would like to sum up this movie, and I think I summed this up in the first episode. I have a permanent chip in my tooth from the Dark Tower. I went to go see the Dark Tower, and I chewed my nails frivolously in that movie, and I left that movie with a giant chip in my front tooth because my tooth broke. I still have a broken tooth, and I will always remember the Dark Tower that chipped my tooth. So fuck Dark Tower, and it was a piece of shit. Chipped my tooth. We can move on to the next fucking segment.
Okay, so the next category is the best 2016 film released in America in 2017, which we will retitle in about 10 seconds after we announce the winner, which is Your Name.
Oh.
So this has now been retitled for the future, the Your Name Award. Because we specifically created this category to honor Your Name because we weren't sure if we wanted to qualify it to be in our top 5 for the year, in which case it would have definitely been in the top 5 for the year. This is an amazingly powerful film, and it's one that I know you talked about on one of our previous episodes, and you're like, you gotta watch it, dude, you gotta watch it, dude. It's actually a movie that I owned, and I let you borrow before I, because I was a lazy ass and didn't get around to watching it, and you're like, you gotta watch it, dude, you gotta watch it, dude. I watched it, dude.
It's incredible.
It's beautiful. It had me in tears by the end. Kind of had me in a state of shock, and I probably had a little bit of alcohol in my system for being honest. But I think it would have impacted me just as much otherwise.
I was sober, and it kicked me so hard in the feels, man. I went to bed after I watched that movie, and I just I was in the fetal position the whole time while I slept. I was just so...
I want to actually say something real quick. This is a Japanese animated film from 2016. This is not the film Call Me By Your Name. But apparently the key to having a good movie is to just have your name actually in the title somewhere. For those who really don't know, and I don't want to get too in-depth with it right now, but basically it's a boy and a girl in Japan that kind of have the ability to kind of swap bodies, and that's kind of the basic premise of it, and then it kind of really kind of cranks it up from there and takes it into some really unexpected places. And
it's just such a touching story.
And it's a really beautiful story. It's really emotionally affecting, and not in like a manipulative way, and in just a really kind of
organic, so organic.
Yeah, I'm a softie, I am, but fucking hell, dude! Like this just wrecked me, and all the right reasons. La La Land. If we're gonna go back to 2016 films that were released in America in 2016. La La Land emotionally wrecked me, but in more of a sad way. This emotionally wrecked me in like a fuck. This is so good. I can't believe that someone was creative enough to write this shit. Like, I'm in awe that this movie was made.
And the best way I can describe this movie is, listen, okay, you don't like anime. Like, I know that you don't watch a whole lot of it at all. And I'm not really big into it. I watch more than you've watched, but I'm not an anime guy, I would say. I watch Dragon Ball, but aside from that, disregard that genre. This movie cannot be encapsulated by the art style that it's in.
Which, to be fair, it's also beautifully animated.
Yes.
If you want to even point to that, like, you can't use that as a reason to not watch it, because it's gorgeous across the board. Purely in terms of style, but I understand that some people, might not,
it's an anime movie.
Really,
I don't want to watch it.
Don't really go for that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's fair.
The story will knock you on your ass. I guarantee it. Unless you're a robot. If you have no emotion, then you'll think it's stupid. But I guarantee if you have any sort of heart, it'll ping. It'll hit your heart right in the right spot. It's just a fucking outstanding movie. Highly recommend it. It would be within my top 5 movies if
we qualified it for this year.
Exactly. So for that reason, it gets the Year Name Award.
I kind of liked having it as a separate category so we could talk about it, a little bit one-on-one with it, because it's good. It's really good. All right, let's move on to the best superhero film of the year. Have I made you? No, I started with worst movie. You go. I'm curious to see where we weigh on this. I think we might differ here.
My favorite superhero movie of the year is actually one that you showed me that I missed because of all the drama going on around me at the time it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And it.
Hold on. Can I do my impression of it? Because yes. I think I know what it is.
Yeah.
Logan.
That's it. Yes.
Logan. Make way, sir. I said make way.
Yeah, it's fucking outstanding. Such a good show, such a good movie. I regret wholeheartedly not catching this in theaters, but when I watched it, this is another superhero movie that, superhero movies get stuck in these kind of like just these tropes that are attached to them, but Logan transcends the genre of the quote unquote superhero movie. The set pieces, the characterization, it tells a whole new story of Wolverine, which if you don't know about Wolverine, it doesn't matter in this. It's a battle-hardened veteran who's
it's very standalone from the rest of the X-Men films.
And it's another heartwarming story. And it is heartwarming. It's a heartwarming story.
In some ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Sacrifice and just being tired and worn down from life and your experiences and stuff. It's not. I guess that part's not really heartwarming, but it's a real experience. It's a good movie.
Yeah, it's a raw movie.
It is. Yeah. So for that reason, it's my favorite superhero movie. And don't get me wrong, there's runner-ups for this. Okay, you got Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy is my shit. Okay, that's a fantastic movie. But Logan just it's not set in the same framework, I don't think. So for that reason, much like Legion is my number 2, that's why it's my favorite superhero movie. I like when things can break free of the genre that they're in.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said, but it's not my favorite superhero film of the year.
It's not? What?
And the reason I say that is because there's one plot element in Logan that, for me, brings it down a pretty significant peg. I don't like X-24. I think it's a horrible plot device.
X-24 is the clone of himself?
He's the clone of himself. That to me feels like bad genre trappings that Logan almost escaped entirely, and had it done so, it would have easily won this award for me. But for that one reason, I cannot in good faith pick it, because that was one thing that just did not settle well for me, and I don't like to this day. I get what it was going for, and I respect that, but I don't like that. I think that the villain in general, the villains across the board are weak. So as a character study of Logan, it's fucking brilliant. Daphne Keene's X-23 is amazing. But that one thing holds it back for me from being kind of in that upper echelon that Legion, I think, ascended to. I think Legion didn't. I think Legion escaped those trappings, and I think Logan fell victim to it there. That's my opinion of it. And for those reasons, it is my number 2 for the year. And my number 1 is probably, well, I want to say it's the one I least expected to be, but it's pretty close to one I least expected it to be. It's Spider-Man Homecoming.
That was a good movie. That was good. It was strong.
Spider-Man Homecoming for me is strong across the board. Tom Holland is the best Peter Parker and Spider-Man we've seen committed to film.
Absolutely.
Michael Keaton's Vulture is the best villain that we saw in any superhero film this year. He's incredibly well realized. He feels like a real person with understandable motivations, and Michael Keaton delivers a very strong performance. The humor is top notch. I think it's just a naturally funny movie. It's a naturally well written and funny movie. And I think that the set pieces there are great. Downey Jr. is great when he appears. It didn't feel like, I think a lot of people were like, oh no, this might just be Iron Man featuring Spider-Man. It's not that at all. It's definitely a Spider-Man movie that has Iron Man in it. And I understand people might be kind of standoffish about the role that Tony Stark maybe plays in this version of Spider-Man's life. But for me, it hit everything. It checked every box for me.
Aunt May's pretty hot.
Aunt Hottie? Yeah. Yeah. I cannot disagree with that. Although they dressed her down a little bit in it. They tried to get it, like Civil War, she was like completely banging. Like they did not shy away from it. And then this one they're like, we'll give her some high-waisted pants and some glasses and stuff. Like,
you can't hide that. You can't hide that.
It's Marissa Tomei. It's not going to work, guys. It's not going to work. But no, so that's for me why Spider-Man Homecoming is my I did not expect it to be this good, and it's amazing what happens when you give Marvel creative control of making a Spider-Man movie, which, to be fair, Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, a really, really amazing movie. But it's been almost, maybe literally a decade.
Yeah, it's been a while, yeah.
Since there's been a good Spider-Man movie. And Spider-Man Homecoming delivered that in spades for me, and that's why it's my best superhero film of the year. But Logan's a close second.
My counter argument to your Legion argument, or not your Legion argument, but your Logan argument.
They're very similar. Logan, Legion, that's pretty similar names.
No, it's just because I had Legion highlighted in this document. But for me, Logan. Don't get me wrong. Your antagonists drive the plot forward. Right, but for me, it was the exploration of that character and the development of that character at that stage in his life, and it was a very profound story for that character. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I see your arguments.
Yeah, and I don't think you're wrong. I mean, honestly, I think that there are 5 good picks for best superhero film this year, and I wouldn't disagree with anyone that picked any of them. So you Guardians Volume 2. Ragnarok, I think, also was very worthy.
Ragnarok was excellent.
And Wonder Woman, in spite of its third act woes for me, I think that, if that was your number 1 superhero movie this year, I would not argue against that. If you pick Justice League, I would argue against that. But really, those 5, I mean, this is a fucking excellent year for superhero movies. I mean, I think Logan, Wonder Woman, Homecoming, Ragnarok were all 90+% on Rotten Tomatoes, and Guardians was 80+%. Like, that's ridiculous. So that's where I stand on that, and that's where you stand on that, and
moving on.
It's okay to disagree, because I think we, 99% agree. So, all right, so most surprising film of the year, and this is in a good way. So something that you didn't expect that took you by surprise in a good way, and you're like, oh, fuck, okay, All right, I'm well on board for this, and I didn't think I would be. So, I think you started last time, so I'll start here.
All right. What was your most surprising film?
Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was my most surprising film of the year for me.
Yeah, I guess
because DC finally made a movie that is not shit. Now, Man of Steel is fine. I wouldn't call it shit, but Batman v Superman is worse than shit, and Suicide Squad is worse than that. Wonder Woman, like I said, has its issues. I think particularly in regards to its villain, and the third act construction devolves into big smoke monster, can't see shit, lightning fight.
Right.
But Gal Gadot is so earnest, and she's so good in that role, and I would have never expected that, having seen her performances in Fast and Furious. Never saw that coming from her, and respect to Zack Snyder for casting her in the role and her having the chops to pull that off. Chris Pine, also excellent, and I think that Patty Jenkins deserves a ton of respect for
absolutely
what she brought to the table with that movie, and so for me, that's why it's the most surprising, because I just
it's
DC wrote
movie,
it off,
right?
wrote it off immediately, and the fact that they delivered something that I think was a really incredible achievement was really impressive and really surprising, and it's a damn shame that they immediately squandered it in the same year with Justice League. Good on you, Wonder Woman. Bad on you, Justice League. So, what about you? What's the most surprising?
My most surprising film was The Disaster Artist.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Yeah, I had no relationship to the source material of this, and I didn't know how I was going to feel going into it. I was sure it was going to make me laugh, but it was a really well made movie, and I mean the comedy was great. It was well written. The characters were incredibly authentic, and it was a really good fucking movie. So for that, and like I said, I was kind of I can't remember what was coming out with Disaster Artist or around the same time.
Well, we wanted to see The Shape of Water at the same time because it was
That's what
originally scheduled for a release, and then it kind of got, I think the wide release got pushed back a few weeks. Released it like had like a very small expansion, so we kind of were like, okay, well, we don't really have anything to watch.
Guess we'll go watch
The Disaster Artist. Yeah, and for me, it was something that I had familiarity with The Room walking in, whereas you were just like, I don't know what's going on here. So yeah, that's definitely a very fitting choice, I think, for you there.
Yeah. So it was it was a strong choice. I like that movie a lot.
Good pick. Go listen to our episode of The Disaster Artist if you want to hear more about that. We'll also take this moment to mention that James Franco is in the bin. Not a good bloke. Not a good bloke. Moving on. Most disappointing film of the year.
My most disappointing film of the year.
I'm excited. I want to know if we agree on it. All right. I'm sorry.
I don't think we'll agree. We won't agree on it.
Okay. All right.
Because I think the movies that we went in to see, at least the movies that we covered for the podcast, I was pretty sure they were going to be shit before I walked into them.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, to be fair, I didn't have high expectations of this movie, but I wanted it to be good. So I haven't seen a lot of shit movies this year, so this kind of falls in the same kind of fucking shell as that. But my most disappointing movie of the year is Ghost in the Shell.
Okay.
It stylistically, it looked fucking cool from the trailers. Scarlett, I like Scarlett Johansson. She's incredibly cool.
Just one of the coolest.
Probably the coolest, right?
Well, one of the coolest. I don't want to say the coolest.
No, definitely not the coolest, but she's
up there with the coolest.
She's definitely up there with the coolest. Yeah, she's definitely, she's Scarlett Johansson. Either way, she kicks ass. She's a good actress, and I just like Scarlett Johansson. I did watch the animated film or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that was really cool. Awesome concepts. I just really liked the whole idea of it. And I bought the movie. I think it was the first 4K movie I've ever bought. And it was just really shit. It was a really shit movie. It was pretty, but it was nothing else about it was cool. It was just on. It was a really bad movie. It could take the place of Dark Tower, but Dark Tower wasn't something I sat in my recliner and watched Ghost in the Shell. You know what I mean? So it wasn't really much of an experience for me or anything else.
Well, I think the qualification for the most disappointing is you need to have expectations walking in. So I think the Dark Tower, I think we saw the reviews before we walked in. And we're like,
yeah, it's going to be shit.
I think we know what we're getting into. So I think that certainly kind of plays a factor is, you walk in like, I think this could be pretty good. And then you get not that. And it's like, wow, it's deflating. So, yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Do you have anything else to add on that?
No, that's pretty much it, man. It's, like I said, visually it's a pretty movie, but aside from that, it's all, what's the word for it? It's all
style, no substance.
That's exactly what I was going to fucking say, dude. It's exactly what I was going to say.
We're on the same wavelength, man. My most disappointing film for the year is Kingsman: The Golden Circle.
Oh, that's a good pick.
Because this is the one that I had high hopes for, and what I got was a fucking mess.
Right.
To put it mildly. And again, this is one of those ones that we did an episode on, and I would actually really be curious to go back and listen to my thoughts kind of in the immediate aftermath of watching it, because now that I've had time to process it, I get more and more disappointed by what they did with this movie, because I love the first movie. I think it's really a lot of fun. Sam Jackson as the villain, great presence. This one just felt like it squandered every fucking opportunity to kind of keep it going. They fridged Roxy. I know I talked about that, and I'm still fucking absolutely livid about that.
Yeah, they did.
They put Channing Tatum on ice because they had scheduling conflicts, which is insane. Like, just recast him, I don't. It's insane. Like, he pops up for a minute, literally goes on ice for the whole movie, comes back at the end. Hey guys, how's it go? Fucking stupid. Julianne Moore's villain, no, not good.
She did put that guy in the fucking sandwich grinder.
Yeah, and it wasn't anything against Julianne Moore. I like Julianne Moore. I just felt that the villain itself was fucking stupid. The robots were stupid. I just didn't really like a lot of what they brought to the table, and then the fucking stupid Deus Ex Machina resurrection of Harry Hart, Colin Firth's character. Just don't bring him back. I think I did talk about this on the episode. Now, this all sounds very familiar.
Oh yeah, no, you talked about it. You're scraping your scabs, bro.
I just, to me, this seemed like it was primed to be a good franchise. And then now I'm kind of just like, I'll just stick with the first one.
They did have a fingering sequence.
Okay. Now you mentioned that. I want to make a fucking note. I had 3 candidates for the most disappointing film, 2 of which had fingering sequences in them.
No.
The other one was Alien Covenant, which was not an actual particular fingering sequence, but it was a sequence. It was a sequence that involved the phrasing, "I'll do the fingering." So
that's hilarious.
That's the common thread. Just to kind of add on that, the third one was Justice League. The reasons that those weren't really disappointing is I think they were disappointing. I think in terms of Justice League was disappointing in terms of box office, but I expected it to be shit, and I got exactly what I expected, maybe slightly worse. Alien Covenant, Prometheus is nothing to write home about. It just felt very much like a Prometheus 2. So it was kind of par for the course, I guess, for kind of what I expected out of it, whereas Kingsman was really the one for me that I had those hopes for. The pieces were there.
Right.
And they really kind of just shit the bed on it.
Yeah.
For me.
No, it's fair.
So disappointing.
What was your best animated film?
I think we can have a consensus pick on this of Pixar's Coco.
That is also my favorite animated film of the year.
You make me un poco loco, un poquitito loco.
It's fucking good. It's a good movie, and it made me cry for like 25 minutes. It's fucking strong.
It's a really strong movie. My only runner-up that I had here, and I only put it up there because I enjoyed it, and I don't think it even holds a candle to Coco, is the Lego Batman movie. Fun, but Coco is fucking excellent. It's emotionally resonant, beautifully animated. The sequences of the Dia de los Muertos, the whole city there, It's incredible. Well, definitely a return to form for Pixar in a big way.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah. Anything to add on that?
No, that's it.
We have an episode on that too, alongside 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. But time codes. Use the fucking time codes. If you want to listen to Coco, go use the time codes to listen to our Coco segments.
Coco. Isn't there a song called Coco? Coco.
I'm in love with the Coco.
That's it, yeah.
I got it for the Lolo. Moving on. All right, so this is a little bit of a fun category, a little open-ended kind of question. Who won the year? And now to kind of explain what I meant by this. It could be a company, it could be a person, it could be anything of, anything film and TV related of who won the year, in the sense that, like, who had a really good fucking year. So an example, and they're not my winner, but an example would be Disney, because Disney always has a good fucking year, because everything they put out is basically solid gold except for Pirates of the Caribbean. Tell Jack Sparrow, death is coming straight for him. With the exception of Pirates of the Caribbean, Disney made $3 billion at the box office, acquired one of the major studios that's been a major studio for like a century now. Disney had a pretty good year, So you could argue that they won the year. But again, they're not my pick, because I'm going for something else. I'm going for a little bit more low key. But do you want me to go with mine, or do you have an answer for this?
I can start, because I don't think that I had trouble. I'll be completely honest with you. I had trouble with this segment here, this nomination. So mine's a little bit more open-ended than you'd probably want it to be, and it's a little bit more abstract.
It's totally fine. I like that, because they said this is a kind of an open-ended category, and I think you could go really any different place with this. So I would like to hear what you thought on this.
I think that this has been an incredibly strong year for women in Hollywood. So
fuck yes,
women won the year for me.
Massive respect. That didn't even cross my mind, and now I feel embarrassed that it didn't even cross my mind, because that is a fucking excellent answer, and I love that answer.
Yeah, so
I would change my answer, but in the interest of actually staying true to what I put down on the paper, no, that oh my god, that is a brilliant response. I feel like a white guy right now. Boy, I feel like a white guy. No, that is absolutely perfect. That is a brilliant answer. And
well, good. I'm glad it fits. I was a little worried about it.
That's perfect. That's excellent.
So to expand on that, women have, between Gal Gadot and Wonder Woman, you got the Atomic Blonde impressions that movie left me with, and then beyond that, you have all the quote unquote Me Too movement, I guess that would
yeah.
It's been an incredibly empowering year for women in Hollywood. So that's my nomination. My nomination's to the ladies.
Yeah, that is an excellent fucking yeah. I cannot disagree with you there. And my choice for this, and I had a couple that I kind of floated. I think Sony had a great year. As I mentioned, Disney. Disney's the obvious pick of terms of kind of like companies, but I think Sony had a really surprisingly good year. Spider-Man, as I mentioned, great movie, did really well at the box office. Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, fucking owning it. It's at like $800 million worldwide.
Yeah, Jumanji crushed
Ridiculous. It. Yeah, and it's a really fun movie.
It's great. Yeah, it's really good.
And I cannot get upset by it doing as well as it's doing. It's well deserved. I expected dog shit when I saw the trailer and saw everything. Nothing against the cast. I like the cast, but I just didn't expect anything out of it, and that really came out of nowhere. So I think that's a good pull for Sony. But my pick is an actor. My pick is an actor by the name of Michael Stuhlbarg, who appeared in 3 films that have been nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars, which I don't have the number in front of me, but I think it's the first time it's happened in a few decades. that a single actor has appeared in 3 separate Best Picture nominations. So he's appeared in The Post, about the Washington Post. He's appeared in The Shape of Water as a scientist kind of working at that facility. And then for me, what put him over the top, and it's actually the last film I've seen prior to recording this, Call Me By Your Name. He plays kind of the father of the main character in that. And he's kind of an actor that always, he's a character actor, always kind of an underappreciated presence that always kind of has a good role, and is always admirable in what he does, but never really showy performances. Not your usual kind of acting nods that you kind of think about when you think about like best acting roles. But his role in Call Me By Your Name, it's a really beautiful role, and he gets one particular scene to really kind of chew on towards the end of the movie that for me, like I said, it just put me over the top of, this guy's had a really good fucking year. And I think past the kind of examples of this, I think Matthew McConaughey, I think he did, it might have been 2013 or so, he had Dallas Buyers Club and like Wolf of Wall Street in the same year, and maybe something else, I think, maybe True Detective, kind of in the same area. It was one of those years I'm like, man, it's the fucking reconnaissance, like, where the fuck did this come from? For me, the Michael Stuhlbarg is kind of like, where the fuck did this come from? Like, again, like a guy I always like, I like seeing him in movies, but never really kind of been the guy to really kind of deliver that performance where I'm like, what the fuck? This is awesome. Like, this is amazing. So for me, he's my pick. But I will also defer to your pick because your pick is the best answer, honestly. But in terms of within film, I would say that I think Stuhlbarg's a good nod.
Oh, absolutely.
In terms of really kind of transcending that and going above and beyond, yeah, what you talked about, absolutely. So, holy shit. I just noticed that we are already at an hour and a half for this episode, and we've barely scratched the surface as far as what we actually kind of wanted to cover. So I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and wrap it up here, and then we'll just pick back up on our next episode, and we'll get into the technical awards, and then we'll get into our top 5 films for 2017.
We don't do we need to catch up? I've been watching a lot of shit.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it.
All right, what have you been watching? What have you been doing?
Well, I have been watching a lot of movies throughout the month of January. My goal was to kind of catch up on everything that I missed from 2017 so that I could have a little bit more of an educated opinion for what I thought was going to be this episode. But as it turns out, it's going to be for next episode. So in the interest of kind of preserving some of the surprises for what I'm going to talk about, I guess what we're going to talk about in the next episode, I will leave it at that and just say that I've been watching a lot of movies. But outside of that, I have been watching a little bit of TV action, trying to still catch up with the CW stuff. It can be overwhelming at times, but I have watched through the big crossover that they did, I guess, last year in 2017, Crisis on Earth X. So I've seen that in its entirety, and that's kind of where I've left off for the CW stuff, and I really enjoyed the crossover. I thought it was a lot of fun. It's got your usual CW-isms in terms of writing. But I think that I genuinely enjoy the interactions between all of the characters across all of these CW shows in spite of their individual quality. In a way that, I think that the Avengers does the same thing for me. And I want Justice League to do the same thing for me, but it doesn't. But I thought the crossover this year, I think it's probably one of the best I think it is the best crossover that they've done kind of to this point. It felt like all the shows were very equally integrated. And I know kind of Supergirl has kind of gotten the shaft, I think, in the past. But I thought that we got not only Supergirl, Melissa Benoist being incredible as always, but we got some of her supporting casts in on the fun too. So Kyler Lee, her sister, joined in on the fun. Had a little romp with Sarah Lance, captain of the Wave Rider, which was quite enjoyable. Yeah, I liked it. I liked that crossover a lot. I thought that was a lot of fun. I wish that the TV shows, Legends aside, lived up to that standard. But lastly, I have been getting back into The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which when the Switch dropped in 2017 in March, I want to say earlier this year. It's not earlier this year. I still think it's 2017 though. It hasn't been 2018 long enough for me to process it as still being 2018. But when the Switch came out in 2017 March, I dumped probably 100-ish hours into Breath of the Wild, but I didn't actually finish it. And kind of, since that came out, there's been a few other things on the Switch that have distracted me. And so I never actually finished Breath of the Wild. There's been a couple DLC packs that have come out since. I ended up buying those. And I'm kind of working my way through that. And I'm also kind of working my way through the rest of the mainline game that I was going to say that I didn't get a chance to finish. I had a chance to finish it. I just I got distracted with other things. But I'm slowly but surely working my way through that. And, it was a little bit of a kind of couple-hour process to kind of get back into the flow of things after playing Mario for so long. Certainly a very different control scheme, but Breath of the Wild, I don't want to have a separate conversation about it, but probably the best game of 2017 that I played. And I'm happy to go back into it. So I will leave it at that in the interest of keeping things going. What about you? I know you've bought a few movies.
Okay, I've watched a lot of things in this past little bit. I don't think everything's on this list, but I'm going to run through it.
Okay.
Into the Fucking World on Netflix is an outstanding movie. If it was, or show, if it was released in 2017, it may have been in the top 3 shows. Really good show. You should watch it.
High praise.
I also watched the Godzilla anime on Netflix. It was all right.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I watched all the Dave Chappelle stuff on Netflix. The most noteworthy one is Bird Revelation. Highly, highly, highly recommend that one. I think that was an outstanding, and it's less of a stand-up comedy kind of deal that you come to expect with Dave Chappelle, and it's more of a monologue. Don't get me wrong, it's still stand-up and it's still kind of funny, but there's a lot of monologuing in it, and it's really good and it's applicable to current day problems. I watched Dirty Fucking Dancing for the first time in my life. And let me tell you something. Patrick Swayze is the man. Like, if I could be like anyone, I would like to be like Patrick Swayze. Patrick Swayze he's a cool dude. Especially in Dirty Dancing. Mm-hmm. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I've caught up on all that. That seems pretty good. I really don't care for the main Kree dude. I can't remember his name. The more I see him, the more he just kind of irks me. I don't know if it's his makeup.
Cassius?
Yeah.
I like Cassius.
I don't know. He's just
I'll tell you who's pretty cool.
His lady. You like his Kree lady?
I like Blue Julie Mao. She's
pretty cool. Just Cassius or whatever his name is. He's just kind of bitchy and whiny, and I just don't think he's well acted. That's just my.
He's kind of the he's kind of the Batiatus of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. now.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which I guess now that I think about it, John Hannah was also on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as a very different character last year. He was the architect of the framework. I don't remember what his character's name was off the top of my head. But he was the guy that played Batiatus in the Spartacus Starz series.
Okay. Caught up on all the Dragon Ball Super stuff. That's getting pretty good.
Isn't that ending soon?
Yeah. I was talking to Henry about this. I think it was like May. I think it's supposed to be over in May, but then it's like kind of like unconfirmed. It's kind of skeptical as what the future of Dragon Ball is going to hold.
Okay.
Movies. I had it on high recommendation from a friend that Dead End was a good movie. movie released in 2003, and it's kind of like a campy horror film. It was pretty cool. It made me laugh quite a bit.
Was there anyone anyone recognizable?
Yeah, there was. What the fuck was that guy's name? Dead End had Ray Wise in it.
Ray Wise. Okay.
Yeah, listen, this movie was it was '03, but it did not have a Blu-ray release. And I bought it in fucking DVD for $10 on Amazon.
Huh.
And it was shot in 4:3. I haven't seen a 4:3 movie in a long fucking time. But it's shot in 4:3, and it starred Ray Wise, Lynn Shay, Alexandra Holden, and Mick Cain. And it was a pretty good movie. Like I said, I laughed consistently through the entire film. I thought it was pretty good. For what to be fair, it is a campy horror film, almost in the vein of Cabin in the Woods kind of deal.
Right.
And I started Ash vs. the Evil Dead, which is just like kind of like Dead End and Cabin in the Woods, just campy, gory horror film comedy. It's fucking cool. I like it a lot.
This is my boomstick.
Yeah, it's fucking groovy.
Groovy.
Hail to the king, baby. Do you remember that? I can't really talk to anybody about this because I don't think anybody knows what I'm talking about. Do you remember
the video game?
Yes, dude.
Dude, there was 2 fucking Evil Dead video games.
And they were fucking gold, man.
Yeah, they were fucking... I had a lot of fun with those fucking games. They're both PS2 games.
Yes.
I think one might have literally just been called A Fistful of Boomstick.
That's what it was. Yeah, fucking Fistful of Boomstick, dude. Holy shit, what a fucking video game.
Did we play those together?
Yeah, I think we did. I'm going to look that shit up right now. I just dropped my cigarette.
Well, there was 2, because there was A Fistful of Boomstick, and then there was another one.
I think Fistful of Boomstick was the sequel, though, right?
Maybe.
Fistful of Boomstick. 6.4 on IGN. 55%.
They were fucking fun, though. I mean, I don't know if they hold up to this day, but...
No, they were probably pretty shit, but...
I see another one is called Hail to the King. I think both of them were on PS2, though. I swear both were on PS2. Oh, I think... Nope, this is... Okay, Evil Dead Regeneration is, I think, the other one that I played. Yeah, PS2. So there's a third game that we didn't play. So there's the Evil Dead A Fistful of Boomstick, which I think is probably the one that was stuck in our head. And I think there's Evil Dead Regeneration, which I think came out a little bit later, that also came out for PS2.
And Xbox, yeah.
And,
No, I totally remember that one because of the fucking little dude. The half-deadite dude with the bone.
Oh, you're fucking right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if we must have played both of them then. I don't think we beat either of them, but I think we played both of those.
No, and they were just fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Look, I think they captured, I mean, gameplay-wise, like I said, they probably don't hold up, but they fucking captured that Evil Dead fucking Army of Darkness spirit perfectly,
Yeah. Anyway, so that's what I've been caught up in. I went to the Best Buy. I bought Evil Dead, Evil Dead, the original, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, and then the remake of Evil Dead, on top of watching Evil Dead, Ash vs. the Evil Dead. So I'm on Evil Dead fucking mode. And let me tell you something. Evil Dead's some good shit, dude.
Yeah, that's what a fucking good franchise.
It's super awesome franchise.
I tell you what, I mean, I feel like I really like the remake.
No, the remake was outstanding, man. It's fucking scary as shit.
It's different, but I think that I think it nailed the spirit of what the first one tried to do. It just didn't have the money for, and then Sam Raimi went fucking full Sam Raimi, Evil Dead 2 on.
It's like a departure from the series, but it takes the same IP and makes it a horror film, whereas the other ones embrace the campiness.
Yeah. That's a really fucking cool franchise. I love that franchise. That's a fun franchise. And let's wrap this up. Thank you to the listeners that have come back. I know we tried to we try to have continuous operations as much as we can, but we kind of wanted to take a break for a few different reasons, to kind of work on the website, a couple other things, and honestly, just to kind of really prevent burnout. I know that I'm a person that goes balls deep on, like a certain like kind of creative outlet. And then when I get burnt out on that, then I kind of just abandon it. And this is kind of the furthest I've really kind of explored really any sort of creative outlet that I've had. And I honestly can say that I'm fucking stoked about everything coming out in the next year. And I know that I'll probably be busy towards the end of the year and all that good stuff. But yeah, this is a really fucking fun, creative endeavor for me. And I'm sure it is for you too. So if I'm saying anything at all, what I'm saying is, thank you. So, if this is your first time listening to us, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. This is really what it is week to week, honestly. It's just usually shorter. If you're coming back, again, thank you so much for coming back. If you could, spread the word. I recognize that we might be an acquired taste. But I honestly think that, no shit, I think this episode is actually a really good primer of kind of what we here at Watch Review Repeat are all about. So if you liked what we talked about, let people know.
Spread the word.
Spread the word. We kind of just want to grow this as much as we can and spread our metaphorical wings, if you will. Kind of to that end, we've built our nice and fancy looking website at watchreviewrepeat.com. It's pretty beautiful, if I do say so myself. It was a collaborative process, although I will credit Andrew for most of the design work on it. I think that he was kind of the one that really kind of spearheaded a lot of it, and I just kind of said, that looks good. I like it.
It's a group project, though.
But, we've had a lot of fun really kind of working on that. And I hope that...
I hope everybody finds it intuitive and functional.
Yeah. That's kind of our goal is, beyond aesthetics. Obviously, aesthetics are important, but we want people to kind of be able to navigate through it. If you want to listen to the website... Obviously, that's awesome. More power to you. You can listen to the website. If you want to listen through your podcast app, then obviously do it through that way. We're trying to maximize options, and we're trying to maximize really kind of visibility and accessibility. So we hope that by kind of having that, that it kind of creates that opportunity for us. So. If you have anything to add, if you want to contact us about anything, we are on social media. Check us out at Watch Review Repeat on Facebook. Also on Twitter. Our podcast handle is at WRRPod. I myself am at C3Bo. I myself am at Cbro360. You are at dmeadows91, and I have that written here because I figured you wouldn't remember that. So if you want to hit us up, feel free to do so. If you want to send anything to the podcast, obviously you can connect to us that way. We've also got email available. If you want to check out those fancy little buttons at the top right of our website that highlight in a very nice shade of blue, that's the easiest way probably to kind of get access to either our socials or to our email, and that's really going to be the best way to contact us. We are now on Patreon. So if you guys aren't familiar with what Patreon is, basically it's a platform that lets you give back to creators. So basically, it costs us money to keep the podcast going on a weekly basis. So this is just an opportunity for you guys to help us cover our monthly costs. And in return, you guys get a pretty generous rewards package. We're going to be putting out basically timed exclusive bonus episodes, kind of covering a wide variety of topics, and we'll talk about that probably next episode, a little bit more details on kind of what we're planning on that front. And then you'll get early access to all of our regular episodes, unedited versions, so you get the raw audio of Watch, Review, Repeat, and then a couple other things. So all the information on that is on our website on the premium section. So if you want to check that out, please do so. We would love to have as much support as we can really get, but it's free. So if you want to keep it as a free thing, that is absolutely cool too. We're just setting it up as an option for you guys. That's pretty much it, right? Intro and outro track, Mechanolith, Kevin MacLeod, Compotech.com. He's the man. He always delivers.
Kevin MacLeod.
Yeah, the track's licensed under the Creative Commons by Attributions 3.0 license, and I believe that will do it. Next episode, like I said, we're going to be talking about the technical awards and our top 5 films of 2017, so make sure you come back for that. And Andrew, I'll let you take us out.
Have a good night. Here's my impression of Tom Cruise from The Mummy. It's for your listening pleasure, folks.